think that being a finance manager for a billion-dollar company means that I have my personal finances all figured out. But the truth is that wasn't always the case. In this video, I'm going to show you how I actually manage my finances. Not the social media version, but what actually works, and the lessons I've learned from managing millions at work. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you don't know me already, my name is Jayan and I'm a finance manager for a FTSE Top 5 company. And in this video, I'm going to go through the mistakes and lessons that I have learned, the actual system that I use to manage my finances, and why it matters so much in the modern world today. So the mistake that I think that most people make, that I've learned from my years in finance, and a mistake that I made too, is not having a goal and a plan. Without a clear idea of what you want from your money, in the short term you might be happy, but as time progresses, you'll realize that you didn't live with intentionality about how you spend. The biggest thing I've learned about if you want to have the least amount of stress with your money and want it to have the highest impact in your life, you need to think of your money how a business thinks about money. And I know that might sound scary for some people, but I just want to reiterate that money is very personal to you. That's a lesson that I definitely learned from the book, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. And it's really impacted the way I think about money. Everybody thinks about it completely differently, from whatever backgrounds you're from, whatever information you've consumed, who your parents are, what places that you work in. So don't think that you're doing something wrong. It's a very personal and evolving process. And when I go through what I do, take it with a pinch of salt. You don't have to have the same monetary goals that everybody else has. But you do need to have a goal that sets your direction and a clear plan to achieving it to give you the greatest happiness and intentionality from your own money. So moving on, how do I actually manage my own money? Well, in this video, I'm going to talk specifically about how I manage my money monthly. And to start that off, my main source of income is my salary from my profession. And first of all, talk about the system I use, and then I'll talk about the tools I use to make it happen, and then also what I do at the end of the month. So thinking of your money in two main key areas, there is your cash flow side and then also your balance sheet side. And we're talking just about monthly cash flow here. So for most people, your income will be your monthly salary. It definitely is for me from my finance profession. And then the expenditure that you have can be split into two main categories. There is how a business would think about it, operating expenditure and capital expenditure. The operating expenditure just allows you to live your life every day. It's your general spend just as your lifestyle goes by. And the capital expenditure, how I see it, in a company it's all about developing projects for future value. But the way I see it is investing money for your future. So in terms of the system I use, I'll have my income and then I'll split that income 35% towards capital expenditure and 65% towards normal day-to-day stuff. So let's tackle the capital expenditure first, because you've got to invest in yourself first and foremost. You can alter this in any way you like, but I think spending a third of your income on yourself and your future is really important. The way in which this is split can vary. Usually I'll put 25% into either savings or investments, specifically into a high yield savings account or into my trading 212. I'll give you some really practical examples of this from this year that I have spent on. So the first one is books. I think that expanding your knowledge beyond your own capacity gives you so much fruit for thinking for the future, gives you so many good ideas, it makes you so much better at what you do already. Books are pretty cheap, generally about £10 a book, and I'll usually go through at least one book a month. So that is a capital expenditure to me. It's an asset, it sits on my shelf, but it's also got that intangible value of building me as a person for the future. And a more practical application for this, I would actually suggest that spending money on clothes is an investment in yourself, depending on what you're using that for. Say I am going to go to work and I want to look more professional. I think that spending money on those clothes to add confidence to the way I look and also can have big impacts on the way I perform. And so I would consider that investment, but I'd make a very intentional decision to say, I'm going to be going in this many times, these are things coming up in my life, and therefore I want to invest in the way I look at work. And I will give you one more. I've recently upgraded to the new Whoop membership. Their Whoop 5.0 has just come out and I've gone for the Whoop MG. I think the insights in terms of health span are really important. I'm investing in my own health for the future by getting the insights that are going to drive my own behavior. So that's the first one. That's CapEx out of the way. That's investment. Now we are going on to the other side, the 65% on operating expenses. This is just your general month-to-month spend. All of this is split between 7 main buckets. The first one, for most people, will be their rent and their bills, which is the largest category. And then it moves on to subscriptions. Those two together are your operating expenses that are fixed. You usually spend about the same amount each month. So you can know that that much is going to come out every month. And then what you have left after that is what you can spend freely, your free cash flow. And I usually split this into 5 main buckets. The first one is lifestyle. The second one is nutrition. The third one is travel. The fourth one is treats and gifts, and I define that specifically as something just for me or just for the joy of somebody else. And the last one is for large spend. Now, your categorization of this is going to be personal, how you want to split it, and also you might have completely different categories than me. These are just the ones that I find the most useful at the moment, that guide the way I spend. That's pretty much it in the simplest way possible. From the top down, you've got operating expenditure, capital expenditure. I think I'm investing in my future with 1/3 of my spend there. And the other part of my spend, I'm investing in categories on a month-on-month basis that make a difference to me and allow me to enjoy my life. How do I put this into actual practice? Personally, I use Monzo. They've got a really useful feature that allows you to export all of your expenditure as a Google Sheet. What I will do at the start of that month is I'll have a view of that month in a Google Finance template with months down the side and categories of spend across the top. And I'll roughly plan out how much I think I'm going to spend that month after looking at what my goals for my finances are. This will give me a rough indication of how much I'm going to spend that month. I can then make some decisions on how that's rolling up as to whether I still want to go ahead with that or not. And so that will give me my rough plan for the month to say I want to spend a few £100s on food, say I want to spend £100 on travel, maybe this month I want to spend some more time socializing with friends, but using the amount of money that I know I'm going to have and putting it into the buckets that are going to really give me the best feedback. Well, a lot of people list money as one of the biggest worries in life. What if there was a way to ease your worry and your stress, and instead of just easing it, actually have a reliable way of knowing that you're making the right decisions for you and you're gonna get out of this? Money in this system feeds your life. It's like an amplifier of your efforts. If you are looking for a business, money grows that faster. It's leverage. If you're looking for experience, money allows you to grow that faster. If you're looking to optimize your nutrition, your money goes and buys all the supplements and foods that you need for that. Once you could use your money with real planning and intentionality, you can have a little bit of psychological safety, knowing that it's going towards the right efforts. And all it needs from you is a little bit of planning and also a little bit of discipline. Once you have control over your money, you understand where it comes from, where it's going, and what you want to do with it going forwards. If this video gave you at least one new way to think about money, well, there's so much more coming. Coming in the next few weeks is my simple guide to start investing if you haven't already. So hit subscribe if you want more honest, practical videos on money, freedom, and building a life that is actually yours. And if you're curious about why I disappeared from YouTube for 3 years, then check out my last video